So homework day 20, starting chapter 3, wants you to classify a system of linear equations from graphs. A system of equations just means you have more than one equation. We're going to just work with two equations. It says for each system of linear equations shown below, classify the system as consistent dependent, consistent independent, or inconsistent, then answer the question about its solutions. So what it's trying to get across is that when you draw two lines, there are three ways you could draw two lines. The most common way if you draw two lines is that they're going to intersect in a point. If my two lines intersect in a point, they're called consistent independent. Independent kind of means that there's one thing, you're standalone. Consistent independent means you're going to get one solution because they intersect in one point. The other common way, or another common way of drawing two lines, is if I have two lines that are exactly parallel to each other. If they're parallel to each other, they're not going to intersect, and therefore they're not going to have a solution that's common to both of them. And so those ones are called inconsistent. And they're going to have no solution. And the third way to draw two lines is actually having one line right on top of the other line. If I could draw straight. Every single point is going to work in both equations because they're really both the exact same line. Those ones are called consistent dependent. Consistent because they have answers, dependent because it depends on the equation, but those are going to have infinite many solutions because there's an infinite number of points on the line, and any point that works in one line is going to work in the other line. So on these ones, they're always going to give you three examples, one of each of those three things, and you're going to pick what kind of equation it is and how many solutions you have. If it's one solution, you have to write down what the solution is. So looking at this first one, we can say line 1 is y equals negative 1/2 minus 1. Line 2, y equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. My slopes are the same, therefore my lines are parallel. And if my lines are parallel, they're going to be inconsistent and have no solution because those two lines are never going to intersect each other. The second one there's one where they intersect in the point. If they intersect in one point, they are consistent independent. Independent, one point. The point that they cross at is the solution. So you're going to have a unique solution, and then they're going to have you put the ordered pair in there. This crosses at 1, 3. And so 1, 3 is a point that would work in both of my equations if I substituted it in line 1 and line 2. And then the third way is when they look like you have two different equations, y equals negative 3x minus 3, and then 3x plus y equals negative 3. But when you graph them, they actually end up being one line right on top of the other line. Those ones are called consistent dependent, and they're going to have an infinite number of solutions, infinite many solutions, since every point on line 1 is going to work in line 2. So number 2, same thing, picking out what kind of system we have and how many solutions. So the first one there, that system is which kind? Consistent, independent, because they have one solution, and its unique solution is what point? 0, 3. 0 over up 3 where it touches the graph. The second one on number 2 is which kind? It's inconsistent and has
solution.
No solution, because my lines aren't going to touch each other. So they have nothing in common. And the third one looks like one line, but it's actually one line on top. The other one is which kind? Consistent dependent, and has
Infinite solution.
infinite many solutions, because any point on line 1 is also going to work on line 2. And 3 more of those. Number 3 there. The first one is which kind?
Consistent independent.
Consistent independent, and has
A unique solution.
a unique solution at
3, -1.
3, -1. Across there at 3, -1. The second part of number 3 is which kind?
Consistent dependent.
Consistent dependent, and has
Infinite many solutions.
infinite many solutions, because every point on line 1 also is on line 2. And then the last one on number 3 is inconsistent, and has
No solutions.
no solution, because they're not going to touch each other. So that's just picking out what kind of equation you have or system of equation you have. Then we're going to get into